Hello, this is R.A. Burrell, the Chief Analyst at Internet Honey, and I'm going to welcome you to an introduction in tourism intelligence. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is to log in. So I've gone to internethoney.com/login. The link's over on the right. I've entered in my username and password. If you have trouble logging in, you can get help by going to this link, submitting a help case, or by calling us. For now, I'm going to come in, log in, and the first thing I'm going to see is whatever my favorite home page is. In the upper right hand corner is where I can make a page in Tourism Intelligence, my start page. It could be a workbook, could be a dashboard, either one. So I can go to that page and just click on make this my start page and get right to that page. So I've now set it. It's giving me the message that it succeeded. If I ever get lost in navigation, if I go up to the light bulb in the upper left hand corner, that will take me back to the home page. So I can use that. If I get lost somewhere, I can often find myself by clicking on that icon to get back to where I started. Additionally, over in the upper right hand corner, some other navigation tricks, we've got favorites. So I can go in and make something a favorite by clicking on the star, and when it turns yellow, it's now a favorite, and it will show up in this navigation. I just made this workbook, DMA indexing, a favorite, and I can tell it's a workbook by the icon. It's a little hard on the eyes, but there's another icon in there that looks like a bar chart, and the bar chart is going to be a dashboard or a view. So it's more detailed. Typically it's better practice if you're going to several of the analyses frequently to use those instead of the workbook. Save you a click. So that's what's behind the favorites, and that's how to make a favorite. So it's taken me into my content, and I'm going to go into mobile traffic. Inside the mobile traffic, there are several views that are ready to go, and I've got some information about them. So if you're ever curious about the nature of the data in a workbook, you can come here, and it will show you who published it. It will also show you when it was last modified. So this was modified at 5:30 a.m. as it was scheduled. So the extracts are incrementally refreshed every day at 5:30. And what that means, it's going to go in and get the new data for the preceding day and add it to the analyses. So I know by looking at that my data is up to date. Additionally, if I wanted to go in and edit it, I could click here. The subject of editing those will be in a separate video. For now, I'm going to go in, click on the name, and that's going to take me into the workbook. I'm in the dashboard, and so let's get familiar with some of the tools and navigation inside of this dashboard. At the top are my tabs within this. So a lot of this data that I see, these widgets here, a lot of those are being pulled from the tabs behind this. And that's generally the case. Normally the more general analyses are to the left, with the more detailed analyses to the right. Up at the top, I can do a couple things. I can export this data as an image. If I'm since I'm on a dashboard, I can't export the data because there's multiple pieces of data that's coming here. But if I were to go into an individual sheet and then click on export, I can export this as a high resolution image, which could be copied into a presentation. I can also export the data or a crosstab, as well as a PDF. So if I'm going to print it, you probably want to use the PDF export. Additionally, let me go back to the dashboard. I've got a button here that says revert all, and what that means is if I were to go in and filter some of this data, and it's going to redraw the data based on what I did, you'll notice this has gone from gray to dark. By clicking on revert all, any of the filters or changes or analyses that I've done while I'm in this, I can click on revert all and it'll get me back to where I was. Additionally, there's a button up here called Pause Automatic Updates. And what that means is that if I have a live connection to the database and I want it to hold a minute, make a bunch of changes, and then make an update to the analysis, I can pause those so it won't keep rethinking going back to the server. If you have large data that's running a little slow, that might help. For the most part, you shouldn't need it. Refresh the data for this view. If you've gone into the Tourism Intelligence app in Salesforce and made updates, or you've made updates inside of Honeycomb, and you want to see those reflected, this is where you'll do that. You'll click on that button, it'll go and think, it'll gray out, and then it will come back and go dark. Over on the right hand side, I've got a filter for a date range. This is going to change the presentation of my data by filtering on dates. You'll notice that when I do that, it goes gray for a second. When it goes gray, that means it's calculating. And when it's done, it will come back in the vibrant colors that you're used to seeing. So that's what that does. Inside an analysis, when I'm on data and I mouse over it, I'll get a menu that pops up. And there's a couple of things I can do that. Pretty much anytime you're over a data chunk, it's going to tell you a couple of things about that. Number one, it's going to give you one or more pieces of data that are involved in that calculation. Additionally, I'll get a keep only and an exclude. The keep only option means that it's going to rethink all of the data for just that, with just that one filtered. So it's only going to show that one. And that may be, I'm going to revert all, that may be something that I may see a couple highlighted. So right now what I've done is I've clicked on one and it's dimmed the rest because it sees that I am focused on that one. Similarly, if I hold down Shift or Control, I can select several. And then if I wanted to keep only, it's going to tell me those 8 items. And like an Excel spreadsheet, it's going to sum those. So the sum of the ones that I've selected is that number. Additionally, by going in and holding down Control, or on a Mac, the Command key, I can sum various ones, and it will give me a total again of what I have summed. Now, once I select more than one item, I get a couple other options other than just keep only or exclude. By the way, exclude can be very helpful. A lot of times Google Analytics will give us data where there's none, or if you're looking at behaviors or profiles where there's not a state and it's skewing the data, you might get one that's blank or null. Selecting exclude will filter those out, and then you can deal with just the ones that have rich data. So just to the right now, I've got a couple more options. I can sort ascending, sort descending, and these icons for sorting are the same everywhere you go. I'll show you what that looks like on another sheet, but I can sort based on the ones I've just selected, ascending and descending. I can also group them. So if you have data that is spelled Texas as well as TX or TEX, I can select them all, group them, and it's now going to treat all of those as one group. Again, if I need to undo that, I can click the revert all and it will undo my group. So let's talk about sorting. I've come to a page that's ranked. As you can see right now, the sorting is from the largest to the smallest. However, let's say that I wanted to sort by the page name. At the top of that, when I mouse over, I get that same sorting icon. Clicking it once will sort alpha, then by zeta, smallest or largest to smallest, and then if I wanted to get back to where I was, the top of the column. So generally speaking, at the top of columns are where I can get a menu or options related to those data fields. So those are my options in terms of interacting with the data while I'm on the spreadsheet. That's how I can start to filter that spreadsheet. If there is something you want to filter the data on that you don't see inside of an analysis, you can pick that up in the next section, which is how we actually edit sheets online. So hope this has been helpful. Thank you.